Welcome back for part 2 of our example of play for Prime Minister by GMT Games. I'm joined by Paul Hellyer, the designer of the game, and he and I are playing Scenario 3, which is a cooperative version of the game where he and I are teamed up against the game's solo system, the Clockwork system.
Okay.
So let me ask you a question. So going into this turn here, so I'm thinking that actually it would be good for us to get this bill down into the minus 80. That puts it out of his defense range. At that point, does that mean that we're going to force him to withdraw that bill?
Yeah, but we don't necessarily have to bring it down that far because there is a special rule when there's only one bill on the board. He doesn't just think about his defense range. He also thinks about whether he has enough cubes to pass that bill this round. So let's say that it's at minus 70. That would be at 260 projected votes. Even if he uses all 3 of his cubes to debate that up, it only brings up to 320. Not enough for him to try passing it this round. As a clockwork, he won't try to pass it at 320. And so he will see that problem and he will abandon the bill.
So he'll withdraw.
So, yeah. The only wild card here is the clockwork supporter. He's got that one. We don't know what it says. And if it has some kind of debate bonus there, that could mess up that plan. So, but the thing is, we're not doing too well here, so I think we have to take some risks. So I think I should just campaign. And yeah, I think I would suggest that you just spend one of your cubes debating it down, and then we will take our chances. So I'm going to campaign twice, and I'm going to split that here. I'm going to do that once in conservatives for 3 points. And then I don't want to max out in conservatives yet because that would block us from further points in that sector. So I'm going to do my other one in gentry for 2 points. And so, yeah, that brings him down to 2. And then my standing goes up to 6 with my bonus there. Okay, and so now it's your turn.
So I'll use 1 to debate that down to minus 70, and then I will hobnob and maybe we can get a decent campaign card here. So we don't want to go up in conservatives for the same reason that you didn't, but dropping him in the gentry might, at least move it back to a tie. And it doesn't put him at the bottom, so we might as well drop him in the gentry, right?
Sure. Keeping in mind, he'll probably do some things in his turn that raises his popular support. So.
Yeah, fair enough. But I mean, we're starting from tied instead of him being in the lead here. So.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see any real reason to hold that card for anything, right?
No.
Okay.
No. Yeah. Okay. So do you want to stop there?
Yeah.
You've got those 2 supporters, but I think you might just continue to hold them for now.
I mean, I feel like if I wanted to drop the support for the bill anymore, I would have just done a second campaign action. So we'll pass it over to him and see how he does.
Okay, so he's not projected to lose. We're tied, so he's not going to do anything with that. We're going to reveal this clockwork supporter now, and so that's a standing point for him.
Okay.
So he goes to 11 there. And then he'll spend his other 3 cubes. So he's going to treat this bill as dead. He's not going to waste any cubes on it. So he's first going to campaign in the workers sector. So I'm going to go up a step there. That's 2 points for him. And then he's going to campaign in the liberals sector. So that's 3 points for him.
So he's at +5 now.
And then he will campaign in Ireland sector, and that's 2 points for him.
Oof.
And so, yeah. Okay. And then he's next for bill resolution. He is going to withdraw the bill. So I get to take my debate card back, and I get a bonus. So I got a choice there. I can't take the VP because we're not doing VP.
Right.
I'm going to take that favor bonus and move myself up to 3. So that's eventually going to help me activate my deputy party leader card. Okay. And then because he withdrew that, you gain a standing point and he loses a standing point. And because we're withdrawing the bill, it goes in the discard pile. So it could potentially be put on the board again if we reshuffle it back. Okay, so we're not doing any challenge, and then election phase. So he cannot postpone again. And so to do the election, that starts by you draw an uncertainty card. So we shuffle it.
Oh, let me shuffle.
You always shuffle that one before you draw. We don't keep any discard pile for that one. So.
So basically after I draw it, that card goes back in.
Yep, and yeah.
Plus 4.
Okay, so we have 2 adjustments there. The first one is for bill votes.
Yep.
But this is the election, so we're going to look at that second adjustment, the plus 4. And so that means he was projected to get 340. He actually got 344, but that still rounds off to 340. And so we're going to adjust the NP tracker. So that goes up to 340. And next we have to evaluate his partisan points. So we're going to add up all the partisan points that he's got here in the different sectors. And I see...
I've got 190. Oh, no, sorry.
260.
260. Holy cow.
260, yeah. So he's got 260 partisan MPs, and the rest are moderates. That's 80 moderates. Okay, so that could become a problem for us. And then we replace the election marker, and that's it for the election phase. And now we start next round. So we're going to reset the cubes here.
He's gonna put that partisan bill in play. If I'm reading this
okay,
correctly.
so yeah, and looking at my backbencher mat here, I can see at some point I forgot to take my standing bonus because I should be at 7.
Okay.
I think I forgot my last turn, so I'm going to move that to 7. Okay, and so now we do bill selection. So we have to look at his card now to see when he starts drawing liberal bills. So he is at that threshold now because he's got 260 partisan MPs. In this scenario, though, we remove the rest of the liberal bills deck. So he's only choosing between the Matrimonial Causes Act and the cross-party bills. So we're going to put out 5 cross-party bills there. And the matrimonial clauses is at P plus 10, which is outside his selection range, although it's still possible he might select that if he doesn't have enough other bills that are in his selection range. So, okay, so first we eliminate what's not in his selection range, and so that would be the Ground Game Act. So we can move that to the discard pile, and then the Matrimonial Causes Act. So we can move those out, and then we decide which of these remaining ones are most valuable. So the first thing that he's going to look for is a standing point. So he's going to try to pass.
Just real quick, I just want to go back just to make sure, just it's clear. So he drew that bill because his partisans were greater than 260, but he didn't choose it because 260 plus 10 is less than his selection range of 290.
Not exactly, and this is my fault because I didn't do a very good job of explaining that. So what I was talking about there on his card is, and maybe I should have just skipped this altogether. That would be something that you would have to consider in an ordinary Clockwork game where you have the liberal bills deck out there for play. But in this scenario, we don't. He's actually, you could say he's drawing the Matrimonial Causes Act every time he does bill selection because technically that is always available to him.
Okay.
It's just, so it becomes a question of whether it's in his selection range.
We threw it up there this time because it was going to be close to his selection range. That's That's why we threw it up there. In fact, I forgot about I was looking only at that section, and I thought he was going to pick it because it was greater than 260, but he doesn't pick it because it's less than 290.
Yeah, so those are two different things. So one thing there tells you when he draws party bills as opposed to cross party. That doesn't really come into play here. And then the other thing is the selection range.
So essentially, if he ever reaches 280 partisans, he's going to pick that bill. That's the threshold.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right, but there is a chance that he could have selected it now. Like if, let's say, all the cross-party bills he drew were moderate bills. So they were all outside his range. So all the bills are outside his selection range. What's going to happen there is he will select the one that has the highest projection, regardless of whether it's in range, and that would be the matrimonial cost set. So you have that. Yeah. So you have the possibility at this point that it could come out for that reason. But there's only one moderate bill that he drew. So so he's gonna put Parliamentary Papers Act on the board here because it has a standing point. And then for these other ones, he'll favor Public Libraries Act and Libel Act because those have popular support bonuses. And this other one will go in the discard pile, and we will make these adjustments here. Okay. Okay, so now we take our turns, and so we're going to think about, do we want to try to stop these bills?
If we're going to want to stop one, I mean, it's between the Libraries Act and the Papers Act, right?
Yeah, and I think I would go for the Libraries Act because it's more valuable.
Yeah. Right now we're having the biggest problem we're having is on the popular sectors. So that was kind of my gut as well.
Yeah, but it'll help once I activate my Deputy Party Leader card, which we're getting kind of close to. So this is what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna use my debate card because I want to activate the Party Leader card, the Deputy Party Leader card quickly. So I'm gonna do a flatter action here using my Privy Councillor card. So I'm gonna move my favor up to 4.
Right.
Which is the requirement for that Deputy Party Leader card. And then I will spend my other cube here. Oops, nope. Do a hobnob. So I'm gonna draw a supporter and yeah, so this is a good illustration of why if you're planning to draw a supporter, it is better to draw the supporter first before you do any other actions that you do it. So that's a good demonstration of a bad move on my part. I kind of got a bit distracted there. Wasn't going a little too fast there. That was not a good order of moves there. So that was a mistake on my part. So if I'd known I was going to draw that card, I would have used her for the favor thing. And now I have this and not sure. I think I'm just going to hold that one for now.
That's what I think. Maybe there'll come a moment where dropping his favor by 2 helps.
Yeah.
Or
or there might be some other reason I want a favor point. So I'm going to, with my bonus here, I move it up to 8 standing, and that activates my Deputy Party Leader card. So at the start of the next round, I'll start getting free supporters. So that'll help us.
Awesome.
Okay, so you go ahead.
So I think I'm gonna kind of follow the same pattern from last time, and
but remember, if you're gonna draw a supporter, you want to do that first.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point. So we'll draw a supporter first. So plus or minus 20 and drop one in conservatives, or adjust the balance of moderates and conservatives. So
that's not a good card for us at the moment. We can't really. I don't think. I mean, we don't want to.
I mean,
we don't want to upset.
I mean, I was going to ask about, but we should probably hold the adjusting moderates and partisans for later. It doesn't really help us right now.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, so I'll just hold on to that, and hopefully at some point, at some point I may just have to play it for the influence, just to get it out of my hand, because I'm getting up to the card limit now.
Yeah.
But we'll hold on to it for now in case there's a moment where it makes sense, and we'll move that.
Okay, so now we reveal the event card. Okay, by-election. But he wins that, and so when the Prime Minister wins the by-election, there's no effect, so he avoids the penalty, and he has all 3 of his cubes. Okay, so he's going to first consider that debate action there. So let's look at his highest bill. That would be the Libel Act, and that's in his defense range because it's currently at 340 projected votes. So he's going to do that action, move it up to +20. Now for his second cube, he's going to skip the first 2 options on his card there as feudal, and he will campaign in the Liberals sector. So I move that up a step, and that's 3 points for him, and more partisan points, which is the bigger problem. And then for his third cube, he'll use that standard debate action there and look for the highest in-range bill, which is parliamentary papers. And so that's going to move up to -10. Okay, so bill resolution, he's going to pass the Libel Act, because that's the only one that's...
Were we supposed to give him a supporter card?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I forgot that again. I keep forgetting. Okay, so let's play that now. Technically, we should have played that at the start of his action turn. Okay, so that's another standing point bonus for him.
Okay. That could have been worse for us.
Yes. Okay, so he passes the Libel Act and goes up a step in Gentry.
Wow, he's getting really far ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we will skip challenges and the election phase, and then we start the next round and reset our cubes here.
The game plays quite fast. Like there's not a lot of downtime, and I imagine, like in multiplayer games especially, there's a lot of talking and about what everybody's planning to do. So it feels like there's not a lot of downtime in the game.
Yeah, if you're going slowly, it usually means it's because players are talking to each other,
right?
Like planning and negotiating. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm getting a free supporter card because of I've activated my deputy party leader card here, and so I get that card here for free, Emmeline Pinkhurst. Okay, so now I'm going to do my turn, and I will use Pinkhurst to lower our opponent in the Liberal sector by 3 points.
Good.
And then I will use my 2 cubes.
That was your free support. Did you take your free? Yeah, that was your free
support. Yeah, that was my free one.
Okay,
that was my free one.
It.
And I think I'll keep campaigning here. So I will go up 2 steps in the Gentry sector for 4 points. Okay, so that cuts into his lead a bit. And then you take your turn.
Let's draw another supporter. I may have to start thinking about using these ones that I've got that I'm holding.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like the standing helps me much again, right?
So looking ahead, what you'd want to do is get to your 3rd cube.
Okay.
And you've got those 2 standing points there, and then looking ahead, we think he's going to withdraw the Public Libraries Act.
Okay.
Point. So, yeah, you might play them now. You're getting close to that point.
I mean, I can't draw another one without doing it. Okay, that would be good. Then I could get maybe get a third action cube in 2 rounds.
And then you could debate that.
And then I'll use my last action to debate. Which one was the Public Libraries Act we were doing?
Yeah. Okay. So now the clockwork draws an event card here. By-election, but again, he wins. And so he's going to spend his cubes now. So highest bill, again, that's Parliamentary Papers Act.
So actually, I'm going to go back for a second. Interestingly, going back to something you said earlier, this might have been a good moment to play this. Just thinking about getting to a place where, we would have had potential to win a by-election. I'm just thinking again about strategy. It might have been a good place to play this too, just to get it back under that threshold.
That would, in retrospect, that would have been a good move. On the other hand, it does help us to hold these supporters that have the debate actions.
True.
Because if we get into government, and maybe that's not going to happen, we might really want those debate actions. So it was kind of a close call. I mean, in retrospect, now that we see that by-election card, that was important.
Yeah. I just think I'm just trying to get a grip to the kind of things you need to be thinking about at all these moments.
Yeah, there's often a lot you have to think about and trade-offs. And it's not always clear what the best move is. I mean, even though I'm the designer, I don't always know what the best move is. Sometimes it's about taking chances.
Fair enough. Yep.
Okay.
So his first one is going to be spent on debating the Parliamentary Papers Act?
Yeah, so he's going to move that from up to -10. And then he will spend his next cube doing the same thing. And so now that's at 350.
Yep.
And then for his third cube, he's going to debate up public libraries.
Okay, well that's good. At least we kept him from campaigning this turn.
Yeah. Okay, so he's going to pass Parliamentary Papers Act, and that gives him a standing point. And now we go into the next round. And so I will reset the cubes. And again, I get a free supporter. Oops. I got Charles Darwin there. Okay, so I'll take my action turn. And we could play Charles Darwin there. So that would let us go up 2 steps in the liberal sector, but the trade-off would be going down a step in the middle class. That would net us 2 points. But before I decide, I'm going to hobnob here and draw more supporters. So I'll draw Brunel there, and then I will draw Charles Dickens. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and play these. So I'll do Darwin, because we're kind of desperate for popularity points, wherever we can get them at this point. So that means in the liberal sector, I'm gonna go up 4 points. In the middle class sector, we're going down 2, so that's a net gain of 2. And then I will play Brunel, and I'm going to move us up in the farmers sector by a step. So that's 2 points for us. And then Charles Dickens, I will move the liberals down a step in the middle class sector, and that's 2 points for us. So now we are tied in election projections.
Actually, we're up by 1.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, good. Okay. So we made some progress there.
All right. So
we are gradually getting stronger.
We are.
We don't know if our time's going to run out.
Fair enough. So let's see. He's got the ability to move this bill by 60, right?
Yeah, so you might want to bring that
I
all
think
the
I
way
want to bring
down.
it all the way down because otherwise it's basically an uncertainty card. We need a -10 on an uncertainty card,
Yeah.
which doesn't seem very likely. So I think I got to bring it all the way down if we plan to defeat this bill.
Okay. So now we'll reveal the event card. Another by-election. Okay,
wow.
good. Okay, and so there's your standing point.
Oh,
So
excellent.
and so that means that you are going to get your third cube going into the next
Excellent.
round, even if he manages to pass this bill.
Excellent.
Okay, and so he's going to decide now, is he going to spend any cubes on this? So it's now at 260. If he spent all his cubes, he'd only get it up to 320. He's not going to do that because he's not going to try to pass it at 320. He's going to write that off. And so he's going to change his focus here, and he will consider campaigning instead.
So can you, real quickly, just for me, where do I find that information that he's basically not going to do it if he can't get it to 330 or better?
Okay, so you have to read two things together. First, you look at feudal actions.
Okay.
And you look at that last feudal action when one bill remains on the board.
Okay.
He's not going to take any action if he doesn't have enough cubes to pass the bill this round. So what does that mean to pass the bill this round? You have to think about how Clockworks pass their bills, and you can see that on the Clockwork player aid on the resolving bills part here. So you look at how he prioritizes passing bills. So he won't try to pass a bill that has only 320 projected votes. He would rather withdraw. And so you have to put that together, and that tells you he would just end up withdrawing it. So looking ahead, if he were to spend all those cubes, knocking it up to 320,
right,
he would end up withdrawing it. And of course, that doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't waste all those cubes only to withdraw the bill.
Well,
and
so hang on. I just want to make sure. It says over here on the player aid, it says as PM you may attempt to pass it. Oh, that's talking about us.
Exactly, where it says you means you, the human player.
If a Clockwork PM has no bill with greater than, I see it down at the bottom. If a Clockwork PM has no bill with greater than 340, it'll withdraw the bill. So that's what I was looking for. I was looking for, so it's basically if he can't get it to 340, then he's basically going to write it off and do other things.
Exactly.
Okay. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure I understood that.
That's good, because that is a little complicated.
Yeah.
But it ends up, working the way that it should. Again, the idea is you don't want to have the Clockwork just throw away cubes debating a bill that he's going to withdraw anyway. And so, yeah.
But and then I will just note, not that we may not get there, or we won't get there in this game because we're not keeping VPs. But if you get above 85 VPs, he will actually start trying to pass. The Clockwork will start trying to pass bills with 320 or 330.
Yeah, that's with the in-game adjustments. And so for this scenario, we don't follow that usual rule. But let me see here. I'm looking at the rules again for this scenario. So if we're in government and we put Slander of Women Act out there, he's going to apply his in-game adjustments, but that would be if he's in opposition. And he would apply the opposition in-game adjustment. So in this scenario, there's no time when he would apply the Prime Minister's in-game adjustments.
Okay.
So what he's going to do is he's going to do other things with his action cubes, not trying to debate. So normally he would debate in the campaign in the workers sector, but he is already maxed out in the worker sector. So that is now a feudal action for him. So he's going to move further down on that card there. And the next thing is for him to hobnob. So he's going to draw a supporter card. And we'll go ahead and reveal that. Because, so he doesn't say hold for election, even if it did, we have an election this round. So he's going to reveal that and play it. So you looking at that first option there, he's going to apply the one that a liberal PM would do, the one with the orange rosette, and that is telling you to lower the other side in the conservative sector. And so we are losing 3 points.
Okay.
Okay, and then for his next cube, he will campaign in the liberal sector. So I'll move that up a step, and that's 3 points for him. And then for his third cube, he will debate in the Ireland sector, and that's another 3 points for him.
Campaign, but yeah.
Campaign, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
That's
campaign.
okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now he's maxed out on Ireland and workers. So in both those areas, not only is he getting a bunch of partisan points, but he's also going to be pulling supporters cards. Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and so now he's going to withdraw the Public Libraries Act. So I'm going to move that to the discard pile. You gain a standing point, he loses a standing point. And then we're going to skip the challenge phase, and then we get to the election phase, and he is going to postpone because although he's projected to win the election, he is not projected to gain MPs, and so he is going to postpone. So that was a close call for us.
Yes.
Gives us a little more time. Okay.
Because
now
his partisan points are going to go way up.
Yep, and then he's going to put out. Yeah, then he's going to put out his bill, the Matrimonial Causes Act. So we are in danger here. All right, so we will reset the cubes.
I'm pulling my third cube down now.
Yep. So yeah, we're getting stronger, but he is also getting stronger.
Yeah.
And now this time I'm going to remember to give him his free supporter because we have no bills.
Right.
All right. And
we
now
know,
he's going
we know
to...
nothing has changed from the last time we did bill selections. Oh no, it's possible that he might pick the Matrimonial Act depending on what we pull.
Right, again, so like if he draws a lot of moderate bills that he has no chance of passing, he might actually favor the Matrimonial Causes Act.
Right,
so
right. So we can't assume that he's not going to grab that one. So we'll pull all of these. All right.
Okay,
Not
so
a
we've
lot
got
of moderate bills.
Right. So we've got one there that we can move to the discard pile, and the other ones here are all in his selection range. And so he's first going to favor the ones that give popular support bonuses here. And one thing you want to check for is whether those popular support bonuses are effective. Because if you were maxed out in the gentry sector, then he would ignore those bonuses. Okay. He's smart enough to realize that he's not actually going to get any points from it.
Yeah.
But he's not maxed out in the gentry sector. And then we have these other two. Both of them have a supporter bonus. So considering the bill tiebreakers, the final bill tiebreaker for a Clockwork PM is to look at the election projections. And Commonwealth of Australia Act is a little easier to pass because it doesn't have that -10. So that's the one that he's going to put on the board.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, and so we move our markers here. Okay, and so now we do our turns. Oh, and I should take my free supporter card.
So, okay. You might want to hold that for the, or I guess we could go up in conservatives, since we went down one there recently, I think. Yeah.
Okay, so well, before I decide, let me think about what I'm gonna.
So let me ask you a question here. I'm beginning to think that the strategy we've been employing is probably not the right one anymore. It's the standing is getting closer. I'm past my action cube level here. I feel like I need to really just focus on We probably both need to just focus on campaigning right now.
Yeah, I agree.
So
yes.
I'm gonna be focused on pulling supporter cards as a result of that. I think, by the way, I think one of the reasons, well, my take right now is that having a politician with no campaign ability in this scenario is a little rough.
Yes. I mean, his debate ability will be useful to us if we can get in government. That's
Right.
going to be very helpful in passing that Slander Against Women Act, but we have to get there first.
So I think this turn I'm going to really focus on hobnobbing and hope I can get a bunch of cards that'll allow me to move the popular support tracks.
Yeah. Yeah, and he'll be able to draw 3 now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use my campaign chairman card here, and I will campaign in Gentry for 2 points. And then I think I'll go with Scotland. Even though there's not a lot of points here, I don't want to max out yet in Gentry or Conservatives.
Why not maybe go up in Workers, which at least takes us up 2 points instead
because
of just one.
I can't campaign in that sector. You have to.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. I forgot about that. Thank you.
Yeah. Although if you zoom in on that campaign chairman card, you can see that you have 2 options there. You can spend 1 cube to campaign in one of your sectors, meaning one of the sectors on your politician card, or you can spend 2 cubes to campaign once in any sector.
Okay. Got it.
So I do have that option open to me. If I wanted to do workers sector, I could use 2 cubes to do that. But I'm not going to do that. But I will play the Duke of Westminster now and go up a step in the conservative sector for 3 points.
All right. Well, the good news is now he's projected to lose if a by-election card comes up.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to start. Let's just get started by drawing 2 supporter cards. Or we'll start by drawing 1. Yeah.
Yeah, he's not useful to us now.
Hold on.
He will be if we can get into government. We'll be fine if we can just get into government.
All right. That one's probably much better. So now I will note, this probably doesn't matter right now, but if I could drop his standing by 1, which would then make us equal. And we're tied in favor. So hypothetically, if I paid this to drop his standing, I could challenge him. But I don't think I really want to do that. I think
that's an interesting idea. I mean, that would get us into government. The only question there is, would we be able? It might be like a minority government because he's still got the lead in election projections. But I don't know. It's not a bad idea. I mean, maybe that's our best chance.
Maybe I'll hold on to it. Maybe I'll hold on to it for now.
The only drawback in holding on is that his standing might go up, like maybe through Clockwork supporters. And so we might have an opportunity right now that might not happen again. So it's a close call.
Well, I mean, even if I challenge him right now, or even if I use it on him right now, I mean, I can't challenge him immediately. We still have to wait and see what happens to him, right? Because challenges happen later.
Yeah, so that's going to be a later phase. It's not the action phase.
Oh, we don't know yeah. Actually, you know what, though? I mean, I'm at my limit here. And really, the only other thing that I've got here that's of any use would be to move us up 1 in the Liberal. So why don't I play it, and we'll see how it plays out.
Sure.
I mean, if nothing else, maybe we'll get to do something interesting for purposes of illustration. Oops, I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm moving him down.
Right.
And then I will draw another supporter. I need something slightly more campaigny here. Fight. Well.
Oh.
I probably should just keep this.
And you know what? But you know what? Let me just clarify here. you don't have to, the 4 supporter limit is only applied at the end of your action turn. So you don't have to play the Duke of Wellington right now. You can draw another supporter and see what that is before you decide.
Because maybe I'll play, well, I'm thinking given what we're trying to do here, I probably should play him. I'll draw this card, but I probably should play him because that hedges against him getting like a plus to his standing. All right, so I think I'm going to play this card to increase us in conservatives by 1.
Yeah,
that seems like a no-brainer. I mean, it does put us up at the top, but it does that. So now I think the question is whether or not I should consider playing this to move us up in liberals, because then at least we're ahead in the election projection. What do you think? Is it worth it?
I think that I don't think I would, because it looks like we might be going in with if we pull off this challenge, we're going to have maybe a minority government, or at least just a very small majority, making it hard to pass that act. We might need these supporters who have the debate bonuses.
Okay.
I would play Wellington for sure.
Yeah, this way he's got to get a swing of 2 standing if he wants to stay in power. So we've got a chance to take over the government.
Okay. Yes, we have a good chance, but let's see what happens on the Clockwork's action turn. So we're gonna reveal that, and okay. So that event lets him raise his standing. But so this is gonna get close.
Yeah.
This is getting very close.
But it bleeds 2 cubes, which seems highly valuable.
That's true too. But so let's just make sure that these conditions apply here. So he does have equal to or less than 12 standing, and then we look at his highest bill. He does have a highest bill.
This one is at
so he meets the conditions. So he's going to take 2 cubes there and move it up. So you're now tied again in standing. And now we're going to reveal the supporter card.
Oh, come on. Okay.
Okay, so he's going to skip the first option because that would be futile.
Right.
And he will instead go up in the middle class sector by 1 step and gain 2 points.
But that's not so bad. He's still in the same box, although there's a good chance. Yeah. Oh, actually, he'll probably, 340. Well,
he's gonna debate.
He's gonna debate.
Yeah. So he's gonna move that up to 360 to make sure it's safe to pass. And now he's going to pass this, and that will give him a free supporter. But again, he doesn't play it now because his action turn is over. He'll be playing that on the next round.
And that card does not. He doesn't. It's just a normal supporter, not the level 2 supporter that he got that previous time.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Okay.
Okay, and so now we move on to the challenge phase, and
I'm going to challenge, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
And we're going to see if we can pull this off. So this is going to involve a government changeover, and that has a lot of different steps here. So I'll walk you through it here.
Okay, brilliant.
So let's start by changing the setup for the clockwork.
Right.
So
actually, just before we do that, just to be clear, I've got 11 standing. He's got 11 standing. Favor is the tiebreaker, but if there's a tie in favor, the challenger wins. That's why this is going to succeed, right?
Exactly.
Okay, brilliant. Just wanted to make sure I was clear on that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so on the clockwork player map here, I'm going to change that to the opposition side, and I'm going to move his player marker down to 5 standing.
Okay.
Because since he lost that challenge, he's going to drop down to 5 standing. And then for the clockwork politician card, I'm going to flip that over to the opposition side.
He looks a lot less crazy on that side, which is good.
Yeah. It's simpler on that side.
Yeah.
Okay, and then next, I'm going to put away the clockwork event deck because we're not going to be using that anymore.
Right.
And I'm going to...
I'll pull this event deck over to our side of the board.
Yeah. Okay. And now let's go over to our mats. So we'll do your mat next. So I'm going to remove all the cubes that are on here, including your player marker.
Right.
And we will unlock that and move that there. Yep. And now you get the big boy map. And we will lock that down. And we're going to put your player marker in the 11 position.
Right.
And you can see that is highlighted there. So that's the starting value on the map. You keep your supporters. And then for me, I'm going to change my backbencher mat here to the government backbencher. I keep my standing, and I'm going to trade out my career cards here for the government career cards. So they're opposition career cards and they're government career cards. And
I'll move
so
the
we'll
chief
move
whip out of. I'll move the chief whip out of the way since that's not a capability you have.
Right, and when you're switching out these career cards, you're going to have to reevaluate the activation requirements because they're different on the government side.
So you essentially you reset to having no active careers. Oh no, you just evaluate them. You're actually most of them are going to activate for you.
Yes.
Got it.
So Privy Councillor will activate because I meet the requirements for that, and so will Campaign Chairman. But the Deputy Prime Minister will not activate, I don't think, because I'm not at 5 favor, am I? No, I'm not.
You're not.
I'm still at 4 favor.
But you do have this. See?
I do.
It wasn't such a
I
bad
saw
thing.
my
So
my action parent.
Yeah.
I can activate that. Although this one doesn't really help us in this scenario. It lets me take a cube from you.
Okay.
And take it for myself. Now that's something that would be helpful in a regular game where it's not so friendly, but it doesn't really do a whole lot.
But
I mean, there could be situations where we would want to do that, maybe.
I mean, in this game, I could see us wanting to do it if Gentry and Conservatives weren't maxed, and like it could be useful here since I don't have the campaign action, so we should consider it.
Yeah, although I think this game I think is going to end very quickly because we are going to end up putting that Slander Against Women Act on the board and just try to pass it right away.
Yeah, good point. Okay.
Okay, and so so I've got my and so for my debate card, I'm also going to switch that out because there's a different version of that for the government side.
Okay.
And let's see. Okay, next, going back to the game board here. We're going to remove the bills that are currently on the board. So that's just one of the rules after a challenge that replaces the PM. You remove any bills that are on the board. You make sure that the election marker is also removed, but that was already removed. And now we're going to hold an election. So that was it for the challenge phase. We did all the government changeover moves that we had to do. Now we move on to the election phase. And because of the way this is set up here, no bills on the board and the election marker has been removed. That tells us we have to hold an election now. And that's always what you're going to see when there's a government changeover because of a challenge. You always have to hold an election because that's what tells you how many MPs the new government has and what their mix of moderates and partisans have.
And that's a crucial. I remember that's a crucial difference between when there's a changeover in government due to a challenge versus if you had challenged me. If you challenge me at this point as the backbencher, the bills stay on the board, so it doesn't necessarily trigger. Or sorry, the election marker, if it's on the board, stays, so it doesn't necessarily trigger an election when there's no changeover of government after a challenge, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah. Okay, but the catch is we are going to stay in power regardless of the election results because it's the challenge that determined the change in government. Now we're just figuring out how many MPs we have, even if that means that we wind up with a minority government.
Right.
Okay. Okay, so we begin the election by drawing an uncertainty card. So what we're going to do is first we're going to return that. Yeah, we're going to return that to the deck, shuffle it, and now you'll draw one.
This is where we need a little bit of luck here, Paul.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, so not really. Could have been worse, but it's a -4. It's the range is plus or minus 12, but the more extreme results, the plus 12 and minus 12, those are more uncommon. The results in that deck are not weighted evenly, so it's not like rolling a die.
Remind me here though, does this apply? Well, I guess this just isn't going to change anything. Does the -4 apply to the liberals who are on the election projection table? So they go from 333 seats to 329 seats, or does it apply to us since we're in control of government?
It applies to us. It applies to the prime minister. So it's the prime minister who does the election.
Okay.
Who conducts the election. You're the one who drew the card. It applies to you. And so our vote projection for us was 325.
Right.
You're on the losing side of that vote projection. -4 is 321, rounds off to 320. So we have a minority government of 320 MPs. So yeah, we're going to put that at 320, and then we have to look to see how many partisan MPs that we have, and we've got 270. So 270 partisan purple points there. That translates to 270 partisan MPs and 50 moderates. And then the last step is to replace the election marker.
All right.
Okay, so that's the election phase. That's the end of the round, and now we start next round, which I think is going to be the final round, probably.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put the cubes back. Now for the clockwork, he's only getting 2 cubes now.
Right.
But my standing didn't change, so I'm still getting 2. I'm not getting a free supporter anymore because I don't have that career card anymore.
Okay.
Okay. And now we do bill selection.
Okay, so this is, so talk me through how this works now that we're in control versus the clockwork.
Yeah, so we're going to take the conservative bills deck and we can move it over here, and I'll get some of these other things out of the way.
I'm going to just draw the Slander Act over here.
And as a human player, you have a choice now between drawing from the conservative bills deck or the cross-party bills deck. You're going to draw a total of 5 bills, choosing between those 2 decks, and you'll consider the 5 bills you drew together with the Slander of Women Act, and you'll choose 3 of those to put on the...
So, and I'm thinking that given the mix of partisans, we probably want to be drawing from the conservative bills deck.
Probably, yeah, because if you draw from the cross-party bills deck, you might draw moderate bills that you have no chance of passing.
Right. So, okay, so here in the clockwork version, like I know in the regular game, it's like the backbencher picks 1, draws 1, the opposition draws 1 each, the prime minister draws 3. How does it work here?
Okay, let's see. I'm just looking at the scenario rules again. So I don't participate in bill selection under the scenario rules here. So it's all up to you.
Right, and the main reason being that like it could lead to a victory point for you, and since we're not doing victory points, it doesn't really matter. So I mean, let me just ask you, like would you just draw 5 from the conservative bill deck, or would you draw like 3 from this, 2 from the cross-party bill, just to get a mix of options, or what would you do?
You could do it that way, and you can draw 1 at a time and look at each one and see what you drew.
Okay. Let's get a cross-party bill out there. So that's not bad. 8 plus 20, that's not bad.
And that's perfect, because all we're really thinking about now is easy bills. So in case we can't pass the Slander of Women Act this round, we want to be able to pass an easy bill. We don't care about other things it does because the game is almost over at this point.
Right. So I'm going to draw 1 more of those to start with. Okay, one's not going to be good.
Yeah.
So let's get into the conservative bill deck here. See what we can get. That's a good one for us, right? That's got possibilities of being passed, and I mean, it helps us with the farmers, I guess. Doesn't, but we'll draw another one there. Also, that one has possibilities of being passed. That's actually a really good one. So I think realistically, we're probably, so my gut, and you can tell me what you think. My gut is that we grab the Burial Act, the Metropolitan Police Act, and the Slander of Women Act. And then we've got, essentially, we've got 2 bills on the board that have decent chances of passage. You know, that gives us a chance to see how we can do on the Slander of Women Act. Would you concur with that?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right, so we'll move the Burial Act, the Metropolitan Police Act, and the main goal for us right now is to get this Slander of Women Act passed.
Yeah, and hopefully we can pass it this round.
And I mean, within the scenario rules, if we don't pass it within this round, do we lose, or does it just get discarded and then we're just subject to the event deck like you were talking about? Like, we could end up drawing the card that ends the game that way, or does it end because we didn't pass it?
Okay, so the thing to keep in mind here is that under the special scenario rules, our Clockwork opponent is really going to go after this bill now that it's on the board. That's going to be his focus, and with his debate 2 ability, he's going to be knocking that down by 40 votes every round. And you have to keep in mind that you might have event cards coming up that are going to distract you, and so we want to try, if possible, just to pass that quickly and not get into a situation where he grinds us down.
Okay, yeah, I can see that.
Right. So now that's bill selection. Now we get to the action phase, and the player order here is now going to be a little different. And for this, we can look at the multiplayer player aid, because we need to refer to this because it tells us how the order works when you have a government backbencher. So it's now the government backbencher who goes first.
Right.
Then it's the opposition leader, and then it's the prime minister.
Okay.
And so this time there's no choice in player order. So I'm going to go first. And of course, what I'm going to do is debate. So I'm going to debate twice and bring the Slander of Women Act up to 0. And that's it for me.
And you would, just to be clear, you would still, even as the government backbencher, still go up 1 in standing if you weren't at your maximum.
Exactly,
okay,
yes.
Great. Okay.
Okay, so now it's Clockwork's turn. And so he's got his supporter here. Oh, okay. So he's got 1 supporter here that he got from passing a...
Right.
Was that where did that one come from after?
That came from the bill, so he should get another one at the start of the round,
yes.
Right? Yep.
Yes. Okay. So so let's do this one that is not marked hold for election.
Okay.
So we're going to reveal that, and that's a standing point for him. But yeah, okay. So that's what, he's going to take that standing point. Now we get the hold for election card here. So normally he would not play this card when there are 3 bills on the board, because we're not going to have an election this round. But under the scenario rules, it tells us that when the Slander of Women Act is on the board, he applies the in-game adjustments.
Okay. And
you can see the in-game adjustments on his mat.
Yep.
And the first one there is that you stop holding Clockwork supporter cards, because at this point he needs to act fast. He can't wait. Okay. And so that's going to override the hold for election rule, and he's going to play it now.
Normally, just to be clear, the hold for election cards only get played when there's 1 bill on the board.
Right. Okay. Because that's what tells you that you're going to be playing an election phase that round.
Well, that was still a pretty good, from our perspective, that's still a pretty good card, because it doesn't have any plus or minuses to bills.
Right.
So, I mean, essentially, he's going to treat all those up and down ones as futile, and
that's correct.
Gain a favor.
That's right. So what he'd be doing there is he would be trying to, since time is of the essence here, he's not really thinking ahead to the election. He's thinking of the possibility of a challenge, although there's not really much chance of that.
Right.
But that's why the card is designed that way.
Got it. Cool.
Okay. Okay, so now he gets to spend his cubes, and he's going to target that bill. So his first option on both of those cubes is to debate, and this special scenario rules tell you that he's going to target the slander of
So
women.
basically, if this is on the board, this is the bill he's targeting. If the slander of women act is on the board, that's the one he's targeting. Otherwise, we'd go through the process of picking one using the rules we've been using already.
Yeah. Okay. Although even if we were applying the standard rules, he would still target that one because it's the lowest vote projection. So he would do that either way. So it's going to knock that down to -40. So that puts it at 280 projected votes. But you've got 3 cubes now.
I'm now beginning to understand all the time when you were talking about holding these cards. Now I'm beginning to understand what. Like I kept thinking like, okay, we got to win an election, but I can now see why you were saying no, just hold on to those. So that's I get it now. Yep.
Yeah, we need them now.
So I got to draw an event first, though, right?
Yeah. And so, take that top one and we'll see what it says. So these are going to look different from the clockwork cards. These are more thematic. And so this is Jack the Ripper strikes again. And you've got your choices there. So in this situation, what would you do there?
Well, in this situation, I'm just going to ignore it because I don't really care. I mean, no offense to dead women, but I don't. Right now, I'm just focused on trying to make sure that they can't be accused of unchastity. This is very ironic. Exactly. I'm ignoring the Ripper murders so I can prevent women from the danger of being accused of being unchaste.
Yes, but that's how conservative Victorian politicians think about it. So
and the other thing is that if I look at this, even if we ignore all of that, we're already pegged at the bottom of the middle class. So that isn't even hurting us, and we're only losing 1 by going down in workers. So even so, I would probably be ignoring it because the cubes are going to be more valuable.
Right, exactly.
So essentially, I'm playing all 3 of these supporter cards to go up by 40 on the bill.
Yeah, so we've got more than we need here.
And so we would go down by 1 in conservatives. I would play these 3 to debate it up by 60, which we're going to go up by 100. So we'll be at plus 40, right?
Yep. And so that gives us a vote projection of 360. And so with a high vote projection like that, we don't even need to draw an uncertainty card. And so that completes your action turn. We move on to bill resolution. And of course, that's the bill that you're going to want to pass. It's a safe pass. And so we won the game.
I did not think we were going to win that. We felt like we were losing at every single moment of that game.
It did, but that's often the way it goes, because there are different ways of winning the game. So we had an opening there with the challenge.
Right.
So we're not doing very well on the election projections, but we had that opportunity that came up with the challenge. So the thing is, if one strategy is not working for you, you can try to switch to another one, and maybe that one will work. And so that's what we did in this game. So it turned out to be interesting. So with that debate 2 ability,
right.
That's part of the reason why we were kind of struggling with the election projections.
Right.
But that makes it easier for you to challenge, and the reason is because you were able to force the clockwork to withdraw some bills.
Yeah.
And that raised your standing, lowered his standing, and that's what gave you that opening to do the challenge. And then we got in and we passed our bill with a minority government.
Yeah. This is a really fascinating game, Paul. I mean, this is a really fascinating game. I think I can see how with 4 players, this would be a great way to challenge your friendships. lose some close friends.
Yeah, I know, because in the standard multiplayer game, it's semi-cooperative, which can be an especially tricky and contentious thing because it requires you to cooperate some of the time, but then you're usually going to end up betraying each other.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't recommend playing this game with any friends who are like especially sensitive about like who wins or loses a game. So you want to make sure that you're playing this game with people who are a good sport, or else like do this cooperative scenario.
How many scenarios in the game are this kind of like 2-player cooperative?
So this is the only one that is like this as of now. Although I hope that people will create their own scenarios, which would be pretty easy to do. So yeah, I would encourage people to come up with their own scenarios. And so sure, you could make more cooperative scenarios like this using the clockwork as your opponent. And there's no reason why you can't track VP doing that. So in this scenario,
we could play a standard 3-player game like this, couldn't we? Also,
you could do a standard multiplayer 3-player,
right?
Without any clockwork, but that wouldn't be cooperative. I mean, that would just be.
Oh, fair enough. I mean, it would be sort of cooperative up to a point. Then you and I would start turning on each other.
Totally. Yes, that's probably how it would go.
Got it.
So the game in its standard multiplayer, it's semi-cooperative. What we did right here was purely cooperative.
Right.
And then there are, of course, if you're doing a standard 2-player, that's not going to be cooperative at all.
Right.
And there is the scenario called the Liberal Unionist, where you can do a 3-player multiplayer, where there's a possibility of starting a third political party. And so that is less cooperative than the standard version. Yeah. So the scenarios let you do things that are either more cooperative or less cooperative. And like I said, you can always come up with your own scenarios. Just adjust the setup, maybe write a few new rules, and you have a new scenario.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. It's a really fascinating game, and it's a really unique game in a subject matter I don't know that I've ever seen before. So, congratulations on the game itself. I think you should be really happy with it and really proud of it.
Yeah, I'm really thrilled with the game, and I really appreciate all the help I got from GMT. The artwork that you see here was done by our artist, Haggerty. He did a great job, and I also really appreciate the feedback I got from playtesters. We were able to improve the game as we went through the playtesting process. And David, I also really appreciate all that you've helped me with in creating this TTS module. So you should get credit for that. I don't think we've explained that you're the one who created this TTS module, which is terrific.
Yeah, no, I mean, I love doing this, creating these modules. So I appreciate that, but I love doing it, and I like, I love the ability to play games online. I don't meet up with people much in real life to play games anymore. And so this has been really great for me, is the ability to play them online. And I love TTS because it's so true to like the feeling of like manipulating things in real space.
Yeah.
And so just one last thing is, I mean, obviously when people are watching this video, it'll be different, but as we sit here on October 28th, like what's the status of the game? When would people expect to be seeing it shipping to them? Do you know?
Next week. That's my understanding. So they've started charging the game for people who have pre-ordered it. They've been doing that this week, and then from what I understand, they're going to start shipping it next week. And once they finish the shipping for the people who've pre-ordered the game, that's when I'm expecting they'll put the link for this TTS version on the GMT webpage for Prime Minister. So that's when this version will become available.
Right. Yeah, I know. Like I'll get a green light at some point to actually make it live, so that then people can search for it and find it in the Steam Workshop. Right now, it's hidden, so you can only find it if you get the link. So only people like Paul know where it is.
Thanks for joining us for this example of play of Prime Minister from GMT Games. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you got a good feel for the game. If you enjoyed the video, it'd be great if you could like, subscribe, comment, share, do all the things that will both help the video, the channel, as well as help the game. as Paul said, this game should be in people's hands really soon, so hopefully by the time you're watching this video, you are enjoying the game tremendously.